Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Starfire, watching the stars through the big window. His ship was small compared to the war vessels of other alien races, but it was home to him and his crew. They had been traveling through space for 3 weeks, mapping new star systems for Earth's growing space program. The bridge was quiet, except for the soft hum of computers. Jake liked these peaceful moments. Space was big and empty, but it was also full of wonders. Every day brought something new to discover. "Captain," called out Amy Stone from her station. She was the ship's tactical officer, a young woman with sharp eyes and quick thinking. "I'm getting a strange signal on the emergency frequency." Jake walked over to her station. "What kind of signal?" "It's not human, sir. The computer says it's coming from the Epsilon Nebula, about 4 hours away at full speed." Amy's fingers moved quickly over her controls. "The signal is weak, but it keeps repeating." Jake felt his pulse quicken. First contact with a new alien. Species was always exciting, but emergency signals usually meant trouble. "Can you clean up the signal?" "Working on it now, sir." Amy's screen flickered as she adjusted the settings. Slowly, the static cleared, and a voice came through the speakers. The voice was high and musical, unlike anything Jake had ever heard. It spoke in a language that sounded like wind chimes mixed with singing. The universal translator worked hard to make sense of the words. "This is the research vessel, Harmony's Edge of the Kalari Republic. We are under attack by Vrakan hunter ships. Our engines are damaged. We cannot escape. Please, anyone who hears this, we carry medical research that could save billions of lives. Do not let it fall into Vrakan hands." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. He had heard of the Vrakan before. They were a cruel race that traveled in packs, hunting other species for slaves and treasure. They showed no mercy to anyone who got in their way. "How far away are they?" Jake asked. Amy checked her instruments. "The signal is coming from deep inside the nebula, sir. It's a perfect place for an ambush." Dr. Lisa Hayes walked onto the bridge. She was the ship's scientist, a calm woman who studied alien life forms. "Captain, I heard the transmission. The Kalari are known throughout this region as peaceful researchers. They've never hurt anyone." Jake nodded. "What do you know about their medical research?" "They're brilliant scientists," Lisa said. "If they say their research could save billions of lives, I believe them. The Kalari don't lie or exaggerate. It's not in their nature." The transmission continued, growing weaker. Jake could hear the fear in the alien voice, even through the translator. "We are the last of our research team. The Vrakan have already destroyed our escort ships. They will be here soon. If anyone receives this message, please tell our families that we tried to help." Commander Ben Carter entered the bridge. He was Jake's second in command, a careful man who always thought about the risks. "Captain, I heard the emergency signal. What's our status?" "We have aliens in trouble," Jake said. "The Vrakan are closing in on them." Ben's face grew serious. "Sir, the Vrakan travel in hunter packs. That means at least 10 ships, maybe more. We're just one small frigate." "I know the odds, Ben. Captain, we're in neutral space. Earth has no treaty with the Kalari. We have no legal right to interfere." Jake looked at his crew. Amy was young and eager, ready for action. Lisa was concerned about the innocent aliens. Ben was worried about their safety. They were all looking at him, waiting for his decision. "Kelly, how long to reach the nebula?" Jake asked his navigation officer. Kelly Brooks was a skilled pilot who could fly through the worst storms. 4 hours at maximum speed, sir. But the nebula is dangerous. The electromagnetic storms will make it hard to see and communicate. Ryan, can our engines handle it? Chief Engineer Ryan Bell was a tough man who knew every part of the ship. The engines can take it, Captain. But if we get into a fight, we'll need all the power we can get. Jake walked to the front of the bridge. Through the window, he could see the distant glow of the Epsilon Nebula. It looked beautiful, but he knew it hid danger. "Sir," Amy said softly, "the signal is getting weaker. I think their communications are failing." Jake closed his eyes and thought about his choices. He could ignore the signal and continue their mission. It would be the safe thing to do. No one would blame him for not risking his ship and crew against impossible odds. But he thought about the musical voice, full of fear and hope. He thought about the medical research that could save lives. He thought about what it meant to be human, to help others even when it was dangerous. "Dan, send a message to Earth Command," Jake said to his communications officer. "Tell them we're investigating a distress signal." "Yes, sir," Dan Foster replied, his fingers moving over the controls. Jake turned to face his crew. "I won't order anyone to follow me into this. The Vraken are killers. We might not make it back. Anyone who wants to leave can take a shuttle to the nearest space station." The bridge was silent for a moment. Then Amy spoke up. "With respect, Captain, we signed up to explore space and help people." "This is both." "I agree," Lisa said. "Those aliens need us." Ben sighed. "I still think this is crazy, but you're my captain. Where you go, I go." One by one, the rest of the crew agreed. Jake felt proud of them, but also scared. He was leading good people into terrible danger. "Kelly, set course for the Epsilon Nebula, maximum speed," Jake ordered. "Course laid in, sir." "Ryan, give me everything the engines have." "Aye, Captain. All power to engines." The Starfire turned toward the nebula and jumped to full speed. Jake watched the stars blur past as they raced toward the unknown. In 4 hours, they would face an enemy that had never been beaten. But they would not let innocent people die without a fight. The hunt was about to begin. The Starfire shook as it entered the Epsilon Nebula. The ship's lights flickered from the electromagnetic storms swirling around them. Jake gripped his chair as the vessel bucked like a wild horse. "Hull is holding steady," Ryan called out from his engineering station. "But these storms are playing hell with our systems." Jake looked at the main screen. The nebula was beautiful and deadly. Purple and blue clouds of gas stretched in all directions, lit by flashes of lightning that could destroy a ship. It was the perfect place for pirates to hide. "Amy, do you still have the Kaleri signal?" "Barely, sir. The storms are scrambling everything." Amy's hands danced over her controls. "Wait, I'm getting something else. Multiple contacts, moving fast." Jake's heart sank. "The Vraken?" "I think so, sir. 12 ships, maybe more. They're surrounding something about 20 kilometers ahead." "Kelly, can you get us closer without being seen?" Kelly's fingers flew over the navigation controls. "I can use the gas clouds for cover, but we'll have to move slow. One wrong turn, and we'll fly right into a lightning storm." "Do it." The Starfire crept forward through the swirling gas. On the screen, Jake could see the shapes of ships ahead. The Vraken vessels were dark and ugly, covered in spikes and weapon ports. They looked like metal sharks circling their prey dot in the center of the Hunter Pack. Was a single ship, small and graceful. It was made of what looked like crystal, glowing with soft light. Even damaged, it was beautiful. "That's the Kaleri ship," Lisa whispered. "I've seen pictures of their vessels. They're grown, not built." "Grown?" Jake asked. "The Kaleri are crystal beings. They grow their ships the same way we grow plants. Each one is unique, alive in its own way." Jake studied the enemy formation. The Vraken ships were moving in a careful pattern, keeping the Kaleri vessel trapped in the center. They were taking their time, enjoying the hunt. "Dan, can you get a message to the Kaleri ship?" "I'll try, sir." Dan worked at his station. The interference is bad, but I might be able to punch through on a tight beam. Amy, what can you tell me about those Vraken ships? Amy's tactical display lit up with information. They're using standard Hunter Pack formation, sir. Heavy cruisers on the outside, fast attack ships in the middle. Each ship has about 3 times our firepower. And there are 12 of them. Ben added grimly. Jake did the math in his head. 12 ships, each stronger than his own. It was suicide. But the Kalari ship was dying, and innocent people were about to be killed or enslaved. Captain, Dan said, I've got a connection to the Kalari ship. Audio only. Put it through. The musical voice came through the speakers. Weaker now, but still. Clear. Unknown vessel. This is Harmonist Zila of the Harmony's Edge. Please identify yourself. Jake took a deep breath. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Starfire. We received your distress call. There was a long pause. Earthship? We have never heard of your species. Why are you here? To help you. Another pause, longer. This time, Captain Morrison, there are 12 Vraken ships surrounding us. Your small vessel cannot fight them all. You should leave while you can. We're not leaving. But why? You do not know us. We are nothing to you. Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for his answer. That's exactly why we're here. You don't have to be something to us. You just have to be in trouble. He could hear something that might have been crying through the transmission. I do not understand your species, Captain Morrison, but I am grateful for your courage. Harmonist Zila, can you tell me about the Vraken ships? Any weaknesses? They are overconfident. They think no one will challenge them. Their formation is strong, but they are not watching their rear approach. Jake smiled. Amy, plot me a course that keeps us behind the Vraken formation. Sir, even from behind, we can't fight all 12 ships. We don't have to fight them all at once. We just have to make them think we're more dangerous than we are. The Starfire moved through the gas clouds like a ghost. The Vraken ships were focused on their prey, not watching for threats from behind. Jake had used this tactic before in war games, but never against real enemies. Kelly, bring us up behind the leftmost cruiser. Ryan, I need all power to weapons. Weapons charged and ready, Amy reported. Dan, open a channel to the Vraken fleet. Channel open, sir. Jake stood up straight. Vraken vessels, this is Captain Morrison of the Earthship Starfire. Release the Kalari vessel immediately, or face the consequences. Laughter came through the speakers. A deep, harsh voice answered. I am War Chief Thane of the Vraken Hunter Pack. You amuse me, little human. One small ship against 12 warriors? You must be insane. Maybe, but I'm the kind of insane that shoots first. Sir, Amy whispered, we're in position behind there. Lead cruiser. Jake nodded. Fire. The Starfire's weapons lit up the nebula. Energy beams lanced out, striking the Vraken cruiser's engines. The big ship shuddered and began to drift, power failing. What? War Chief Thane roared. How did you get behind us? Surprise, Jake said. Kelly, evasive maneuvers. Amy, target. The next ship. The Starfire darted between the gas clouds as the Vraken ships turned to face this new threat. Energy beams flashed past them, but Kelly's flying kept them alive. You cannot run forever, human, Thane snarled. I will crush you like the insect you are. Big talk for someone who just lost a ship, Jake shot back. The Vraken formation was breaking apart as ships moved to chase the Starfire. Jake smiled. Angry enemies made mistakes, and mistakes were what he needed. Amy, fire on that attack ship on our right. Firing. The Vraken ship exploded in a ball of fire. The Starfire flew the debris, using it as cover from the other ships. 2 down, 10 to go, Ben said. The odds are improving, Jake replied. Captain, Zila's voice came through the speakers. You are incredible, but the Vraken are regrouping. They will not be fooled again. She was right. The remaining Vraken ships were forming a new pattern, working together to trap the Starfire. War Chief Thane was learning from his mistakes. Human, Thane's voice was full of rage. You have cost me 2 ships. For that, I will make your death. Slow and painful. You have to catch me first. Jake looked at his crew. They were scared but determined. Amy was already targeting the next enemy ship. Kelly was plotting another impossible course through the gas clouds. Ryan was keeping the engines running despite the damage they were taking. All right, people, Jake said. Round 2. Let's show these pirates what humans can do. The Starfire dove back into the fight. 1 small ship against 10 larger ones. The odds were still terrible, but they were getting better. And somewhere in the swirling gas and lightning, hope was beginning to grow. The Starfire spun through the nebula like a dancer, dodging energy beams and missile fire. Jake held onto his chair as the ship twisted and turned. The Vraken were getting smarter, working together to box him in. Hull damage on Deck 3. Ryan reported, We can't take much more of this. Amy, status on the enemy ships? 8 left, sir. But they're staying together now. No more easy targets. Jake nodded. The Vraken were learning. War Chief Thane was not stupid, just arrogant. Now that he knew the humans were dangerous, he was being more careful. Kelly, take us toward that lightning storm on the right. Sir? That's suicide. The electrical discharge will fry our systems. Trust me. The Starfire flew toward the swirling wall of energy. Behind them, the Vraken ships followed, firing steadily. At the last second, Kelly pulled the ship into a sharp turn, using the storm's edge to block the enemy's view. Now Amy, fire into the storm. Amy looked confused but obeyed. The ship's weapons fired into the electrical chaos. The energy beams hit the storm, and something amazing happened. The lightning turned bright white and began to move in a straight line toward the Vraken ships. What did you do? Ben asked. I turned the storm into a weapon, Jake said. The energy from our guns changed the lightning's path. 3 Vraken ships flew right into the electrical storm. Their shields failed instantly, and the lightning tore through their hulls. The ships went dark and began to drift. Impossible. War Chief Thane snarled over the radio. You cannot control the storms. Watch me, Jake replied. Captain, Zella's voice came through the speakers. That was brilliant. But I must tell you something. The Vraken have called for help. More ships are coming. Jake felt his stomach drop. How many more? I do not know. But the Vraken never hunt alone. There will be others. Lisa looked up from her station. Captain, I'm getting readings from the Kaleri ship. Harmonist Zila is not just a scientist. She's some kind of leader. What? Do you mean? The Kaleri don't have military ranks like we do. A harmonist is someone who brings different groups together. She's probably the most important person on that ship. Jake understood. The Vraken were not just after the medical research. They wanted to capture or kill a Kaleri leader. It would be a huge victory for them. Harmonist Zila, can you tell me more about your research? It is a cure for the Crimson Plague, Captain Morrison. The disease has killed millions across the galaxy. Our research could save so many lives. Then we definitely can't let the Vraken get it. The remaining 5 Vraken ships were moving in a tight formation, trying to surround the Starfire. Jake needed a new plan. Fighting them head-on would be suicide. Amy, do we have any missiles left? 3, sir. But they're not powerful enough to damage those cruisers. Jake smiled. I don't want to damage them. I want to blind them. Sir? Fire. The missiles at the gas clouds around the Vraken ships. Not at the ships themselves, at the gas. Amy's fingers moved over her controls. Missiles away. The missiles exploded in the gas clouds, creating brilliant flashes of light. The Vrakan ships were suddenly flying blind, their sensors overwhelmed. By the interference, Kelly, full speed toward the Kaleri ship. Aye, sir. The Starfire raced through the chaos, dodging confused Vrakan ships that were firing its shadows. Jake's plan was working, but it would not last long. Harmonist Zilla, we're coming to get you. Can your ship move? Our engines are damaged, but we might be able to make short jumps. Good. When I give the signal, jump toward the nebula's edge. We'll cover you. Captain Morrison, you are risking everything for us. Why? Jake thought about the question. Why was he risking his ship and crew? For aliens he had never met? Because it's the right thing to do, he said finally. I do not understand your species, Zila said, but I am beginning to admire you. The gas clouds were clearing, and the Vrakan ships were getting their sensors back online. War Chief Thane was screaming orders at his crews, furious that the humans had fooled him again. All ships surround the human vessel, Thane ordered. Do not let them escape, but Jake was not planning to escape. He was planning to attack. Amy, target the lead cruiser. Everything we have. Sir, we don't have enough firepower to destroy it. I'm not trying to destroy it. I'm trying to make it angry. The Starfire opened fire on the Vrakan cruiser. The energy beams struck the ship's shields, causing them to flicker and spark. The cruiser was not seriously damaged, but its commander was insulted. You dare attack me directly? The cruiser's captain roared. I will show you the price of your insolence. The cruiser broke formation and charged toward the Starfire. Jake smiled. Angry enemies made predictable enemies. Kelly, take us into that asteroid field. Sir, there are no asteroids in a nebula. There are now. Jake pointed to the debris from the destroyed Vrakan ships. Chunks of metal and crystal were floating through the gas, clouds like a deadly obstacle course. The Starfire flew into the debris field, with the Vrakan cruiser right behind it. The big ship was fast, but it was not agile. As it chased the smaller human vessel, it began to hit pieces of wreckage. Kelly, hard left. The Starfire spun to the left, just as a piece of debris smashed into the cruiser's front shields. The big ship's shields failed, and more wreckage tore into its hull. Now, Amy, fire. The Starfire's weapons struck the cruiser's damaged hull. Without shields, the ship was defenseless. Explosions rippled along its length as the vessel broke apart. 4 ships left, Ben reported. And here comes the cavalry, Dan added grimly. On the sensor screen, new contacts were appearing. More Vrakan ships were jumping into the nebula. Jake counted at least 6 new vessels, maybe more. Harmonist Zila, you need to jump now. Get your ship out of here. What about you, Captain Morrison? We'll hold them off as long as we can. No, I will not abandon you after everything you have done. Jake felt a warmth in his chest. Even facing death, the Kalari were thinking about others. Zila, your research is more important than our lives. You have to survive to help others. Then we will survive together. Captain, the Vrakan have a weakness. Their ships are heavily armored in front, but the rear engines are vulnerable. If you can get behind them. I understand. Thank you. The new Vrakan ships were spreading out, trying to surround both the Starfire and the Kaleri vessel. War Chief Thane was taking no chances this time. Human, Thane's voice was full of hate. You have cost me too much. I will make you pay for every ship you destroyed. Come and try, Jake replied. The Starfire turned to face the enemy fleet. 1 small human ship against 10 Vrakan vessels. The odds were impossible, but Jake and his crew were not giving up. All right, people, Jake said to his crew. Let's show them what humans do when our backs are against the wall. The final battle was about to begin. The Vraken ships closed in like a pack of wolves. Jake watched them on the main screen, counting 10 vessels against his single ship. The odds were worse than ever, but he was not afraid. He was angry. "Ryan, how are the engines holding up?" "Running. Hot, sir. We've pushed them beyond safe limits, but they'll hold together for now." "Amy, what about weapons?" 60% power remaining. We're running low on energy." Jake nodded. They had one chance to win this fight, and it would require perfect timing. He thought about Zila's words about the Vraken ship's weakness. Rear engines were always vulnerable, but getting behind 10 ships would be nearly impossible. "Kelly, can you plot a course that takes us behind their formation?" "Not without flying through them, sir, and that would be suicide." "Maybe not." Jake studied the enemy formation. "What if we don't go around them? What if we go through them?" Ben looked at him with worry. "Jake, that's crazy even for you." "Listen to me," Jake said. "The Vraken expect us to run or fight from a distance. They're not expecting us to charge right at them." "Because it's insane," Ben replied. "Exactly. Sometimes the craziest plan is the only one that works." Jake opened a channel to the Kalari ship. "Harmonist Zila, I need you to do something for me." "What do you need, Captain Norrison?" "When I give the signal, I want you to create a distraction. Flash your lights, fire your weapons, anything to get their attention." "I understand. But Captain, you cannot fight all those ships alone." "I don't plan to fight them all. I plan to make them fight each other." The Vraken ships were moving into attack formation. War Chief Thane was being careful this time, not letting his ships get separated. It was good tactics, but Jake was counting on it. "Amy, I want you to target their command ship, the big one in the center." "Sir, that's Thane's flagship. It's the most heavily armored ship in the fleet." "I know, but it's also the most important. If we can damage it, the other ships will cluster around it to protect their leader." "And then what?" Jake smiled. "Then we spring our trap." The Starfire began to move toward the enemy fleet. The Vraken ships opened fire, filling space with energy beams and missiles. Kelly flew through the attack like she was dancing, spinning, and diving to avoid the deadly fire. "Hull breach on deck 2, Ryan reported, sealing it now. "Keep us together, Ryan. We're almost there." The Starfire was flying straight at the enemy formation. The Vraken ships were concentrating their fire, trying to destroy the crazy human vessel before it could reach them. "Now, Zila," Jake called out. The Kalari ship suddenly blazed with light. Every crystal on its hull glowed like a star, and its weapons fired in all directions. The Vraken ships were surprised and confused. Some of them turned to fire at the Kalari vessel. "Amy, fire on the flagship." The Starfire's weapons struck Thane's ship. The big vessel's shields flared and sparked, but held. Thane roared with rage over the radio. "All ships, protect the flagship. Kill that human vessel." The Vraken ships moved closer together, forming a protective circle around their leader. It was exactly what Jake had hoped for. "Kelly, take us into the middle of their formation." "Sir, that's suicide. Trust me." The Starfire flew between the Vraken ships, so close that Jake could see the enemy crews through their windows. The Vraken were trying to fire at the human ship, but they were afraid of hitting their own vessels. "Amy, fire at will. Any target you can hit, firing." The Starfire's weapons lanced out in all directions. Some shots hit Vraken ships, but others missed and struck the vessels beyond. Suddenly, the Vraken ships were firing at each other, confused about which beams were coming from the human ship and which were friendly fire. "What are you doing?" Thane screamed at his crews. "Stop firing at each other," but the damage was done. 2 Vraken ships were already damaged by their own allies. The formation was breaking apart, as ships tried to get clear of each other. "Kelly, get us out of here." Head for the rear of their formation. The Starfire burst out of the chaos and flew toward the back of the enemy fleet. The Vraken ships were scattered and confused, perfect targets for Jake's real plan. Amy, target. The engines on that cruiser. Got it. The Starfire's weapons struck the Vraken ship's rear engines. The big vessel shuddered and began to drift, power failing. Jake smiled. Zila had been right about the weak spot. Next target. But as Amy lined up the shot, alarms began to sound throughout the Starfire. The ship shook violently, and sparks flew from damaged consoles. "Direct hit on the reactor," Ryan called out. "We're losing power." "How bad is it?" "Bad, sir?" "The reactor is overloading." "I can contain it, but someone needs to manually shut down the power couplings." Jake knew what that meant. The power couplings were in the most dangerous part of the ship. Anyone who went there during a reactor overload would be exposed to deadly radiation. "I'll go," Ben said, already moving toward the door. "No," Jake said. "I need you here, Ryan. Can you do it?" "I can try, sir." "But if the reactor explodes, ... It won't. We won't let it." Ryan ran from the bridge toward the engine room. Jake watched him go, knowing he might never see his friend again. The Starfire was dying, but they still had a job to do. "Amy, how many?" "Ships are left?" "6, sir, but they're regrouping. And our weapons are down to 30% power. Then we better make every shot count." The Vraken ships were forming a new line, preparing for a final attack. War Chief Thane was screaming. Orders determined to destroy the human vessel that had caused him so much trouble. "Lisa, how are the wounded?" 3 crew members injured, but they'll live. The medical bay is holding together." "Good. Kelly, can you give me one more impossible maneuver?" "Always, sir." The Starfire limped toward the enemy line. The ship was barely holding together, running on backup power and pure determination. But Jake was not giving up. "Harmonist Zila, are you ready to jump out of here?" "My ship is ready, Captain Morrison. But I will not leave you. You might have to." The Vraken ships opened fire. Energy beams and missiles filled the space around the Starfire. Kelly did her best to dodge, but the ship was too damaged to move quickly. "Hull breach on deck 4, someone called out. "Weapon system failing," Amy reported. "Reactor contained." Ryan's voice came over the intercom. "But we're running on emergency power only." Jake looked at the enemy ships bearing down on them. The Starfire was finished, but the fight was not over. He had one last card to play. "Amy, transfer all remaining power to the weapons." "Everything we have." "Sir, that will leave us with no life support. No engines, nothing." "Do it." The lights on the bridge dimmed as all power flowed to the weapons. The Starfire was now a dead ship floating in space, but its weapons were charged for one final shot. "Amy, target War Chief Thane's flagship." "Locked on, sir." "Fire." The Starfire's weapons blazed one last time. All the ship's remaining energy poured into a single devastating attack. A beam struck Thane's flagship and tore through its hull. Like paper, the big ship exploded in a ball of fire, taking the Vraken leader with it. "Thane is dead," Ben said with amazement. The remaining Vraken ships stopped their attack, shocked by the loss of their leader. Without Thane to give orders, they were confused and leaderless. "This is for Thane," one of the Vraken captains snarled. "Kill them all." But before the enemy ships could fire, something unexpected happened. The Starfire began to glow with a soft blue light. The light was coming from outside the ship, surrounding it like a protective shield. "What's happening?" Jake asked. "Captain Morrison," Zila's voice came through the speakers. "My ship is sharing its power with yours." The Kolari do not abandon their friends. Jake felt tears in his eyes. Even facing death, the Kalari were thinking about others. Zila, you need that power to escape. We will escape together, or not at all. The blue light from the Kalari ship was giving the Starfire enough power to move. Kelly fired the engines, and the two ships began to fly away from the stunned Vrakan vessels. Should we follow them? One of the Vrakan captains asked. No, another replied. Thane is dead. The hunt is over. We return to base. The Vrakan ships turned and jumped away, leaving the nebula behind. Jake watched them go, hardly believing they had survived. Is everyone all right? He asked. Ryan's in the medical bay, Lisa reported. He got a heavy dose of radiation, but he'll recover. And the ship? Dead in space without the Kalari power boost, Ben said. But we're alive. Jake looked at the Kalari ship on the screen. Its crystal hull was glowing softly, beautiful and peaceful. Harmonist Zella, thank you. Thank you, Captain Morrison. You have shown us that there is still courage in the galaxy. As the two ships flew slowly out of the nebula, Jake thought about what they had accomplished. They had saved innocent lives and struck a blow against the Vrakan. But the victory had come at a cost. Ryan was injured, the ship was badly damaged, and they were far from home. But they had done the right thing, and sometimes that was enough. The stars were waiting for them, and the galaxy would never be the same. 3 months later, Jake stood in the hospital room on Earth Station Alpha, watching Ryan Bell sleep. His friend was recovering well from the radiation exposure, but it had been a close call. The doctors said he would make a full recovery, but he would never be quite the same. How is he today? Lisa asked, entering the room with a cup of coffee. Better. The doctors say he can go home next week. And the ship? Jake sighed. The Starfire is being rebuilt. It will take 6 months, maybe more. The damage was worse than we thought. Lisa sat down in the chair next to Ryan's bed. It was worth it, Jake. You know that, right? I know. But I keep thinking about what could have happened. We almost lost him, but we didn't, and we saved the Kalari. Jake nodded. The Kalari had been true to their word. Harmonist Zella had shared her people's medical research with Earth, and the cure for the Crimson Plague was already being produced. Millions of lives across the galaxy would be saved. Have you heard from Zila lately? Lisa asked. She sends messages every week. The Kalari Council has made her their first ambassador to Earth. She's learning to speak English. That's wonderful. What about the other news? Jake smiled. The Vrakan are in chaos. Without Thane, the hunter packs are fighting each other. Their raids have almost stopped. And the other species? That's the interesting part. Word is spreading about what happened in the nebula. Other races are starting to take notice of humanity. Jake pulled out a datapad and showed Lisa the latest reports. The Altarians want to establish trade relations. The Centauri Republic is offering a defense alliance. Even the Andromedan Empire is asking about us. All because of one battle? All because we stood up to bullies. Apparently, that's rarer in the galaxy than I thought. Dr. Lisa looked thoughtful. The Kalari aren't the only ones who've never seen anything like us before. Most species avoid fights. They can't win. They play. It's safe, but not humans. Not humans, she agreed. We're too stubborn to know when to quit. Jake laughed. Ryan would say we're too stupid to know when to quit. As if hearing his name, Ryan stirred in his bed. His eyes opened slowly, and he looked around the room. Hey, Captain. How long was I out? Just a few hours. How are you feeling? Like I got hit by a plasma cannon. But I'm alive, so I'm not complaining. Jake sat down next to the bed. Ryan, I want you to know that what you did saved all of us. If you hadn't contained that reactor, I was just doing my job, sir. Besides, you would have done the same thing. Maybe, but you're the one who did it. Ryan smiled weakly. So what's the damage report on the ship? The Starfire is getting a complete rebuild. New engines, new weapons, better shields. By the time we're done, she'd be twice as strong as before. Good. I want to be ready for the... Next time. Next time? Come on, Captain. You don't think this is over, do you? Word is already spreading about the crazy humans who fight impossible odds. Everyone will want to test us. Jake knew Ryan was right. The battle in the nebula had been just the beginning. Humanity was now a player in galactic politics, and that came with both opportunities and dangers. Speaking of which, Lisa said, there's something you should know. Admiral Parker wants to see you tomorrow. What about promotion? They're making you a Commodore and giving you a whole squadron of ships. Jake felt a mix of excitement and worry. A squadron? 12 ships, all volunteers. From the crews who heard about the Starfire. They want to serve under the captain who stood up to the Vraken. That's a lot of responsibility. That's what command is about, Ryan said. And if anyone can handle it, it's you. Jake looked out the window at the stars. Earth was just a small blue dot in the vast galaxy, but it was home. And now it had all eyes. And enemies among the stars. What about the crew? Are they staying together? Amy's been promoted to lieutenant commander. She'll be your tactical officer for the whole squadron. Kelly's getting her own ship, but she's asked to stay as your pilot. Ben's becoming a captain, taking command of one of the new ships in the squadron. And you? Lisa smiled. I'm now the head of the new Alien Relations Department. Zila and I are working together to establish contact with other peaceful species. It sounds like everyone's moving up in the world. Everyone except you, sir, Ryan said with a grin. You're still the same crazy captain who flies into nebulas to save people he's never met. Jake laughed. Some things never change. A soft chime sounded, and harmonist Zila's face appeared on the room's communication screen. She looked different now, more familiar with human expressions. Captain Morrison, I hope I am not disturbing you. Never, Zila. How are you? I am well, thank you. I wanted to give you an update on the situation in the galaxy. What kind of update? The story of your battle with the Vraken has spread to every corner of space. Other species are talking about the humans who fight for strangers. Some are curious, some are afraid, but all are interested. Is that good or bad? Both, I think. The peaceful species see humanity as potential protectors. The aggressive ones see you as a threat to be eliminated. Jake felt a chill. Are we in danger? Not immediate danger. But there are forces in the galaxy that do not want a species like yours to succeed. They prefer the old ways, where might makes right and the strong prey on the weak. Then we'll have to be ready for them. I believe you will be. Your species has something that others lack. You call it courage, but it is more than that. You have the willingness to sacrifice for others, even those you do not know. We're not the only ones, Jake said. You shared your power with us when you could have escaped. Yes, and that is why our species will be great allies. We both understand that survival is not enough. We must also live with honor. After Zila ended the call, Jake sat quietly for a moment. The galaxy was a big place, full of wonders and dangers. Humanity was just beginning to explore it, and they had already made enemies and allies. What are you thinking about? Lisa asked. Future. A year ago, we were just explorers, mapping star systems and cataloging planets. Now we're galactic peacekeepers. Are you sorry about that? Jake considered the question. No, I'm proud of what we did, but I'm also scared. We're going to face bigger challenges and a pack of Vraken hunters. Then it's a good thing humans are too stubborn to know when to quit, Ryan said with a weak smile. Jake stood up and walked to the window. In the distance, He could see construction crews working on the new ships that would form his squadron. Each one was being built with lessons learned from the battle in the nebula. "You know what the best part is?" Jake said. "What's that?" "We're not alone anymore. We have allies out there, friends who will stand with us when things get tough. And enemies who will try to stop us," Lisa added. "Let them try," Jake said. "We'll be ready." As he looked out at the stars, Jake thought about all the species out there, some peaceful, some dangerous, all watching humanity's next move. The galaxy was vast and full of mysteries, but he was not afraid. Humans had found their place among the stars, and they would defend it with courage, honor, and the willingness to help others. It was what made them human, and it was what would make them great. The stars were calling, and humanity was ready to answer. 6 months later, Commodore Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the new Starfire, watching his squadron prepare for their first mission. 12 ships, all crewed by volunteers who believed in the human way of doing things. "All ships report ready, sir," Amy announced from her position as Squadron Tactical Officer. "Very good. Kelly, take us out." The squadron jumped to hyperspace, heading for the Vega system, where pirates were attacking peaceful traders. It was the kind of mission that had become routine for humanity's new peacekeeping force. But Jake knew it was more than just another mission. It was a statement to the galaxy that humanity would not stand by while innocent people suffered. They would fight for justice, protect the weak, and stand up to bullies, no matter the odds. It was the human way, and it was changing the galaxy. One battle at a time, the hunt for justice continued, and humanity was leading the way.